What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Vitamin Leads, your healthy dose of leadership. I'm your host, TJ Reed, and we're starting a new week here. I hope that you're doing well here in Virginia Beach. We are on the tail end of Hurricane Dorian and all that came here. We had actually a massive branch that took 2 to 3 people to move that fell down where our car would have normally been parked. And so I'm so grateful that we decided for a day we were going to take our daughter out of town, and didn't want to sit without power for a full day with a 3-year-old. I'm sure you can relate if you've had a 3-year-old or have a 3-year-old right now. But we left town for that. We were obviously praying for our friends, our family, our neighbors that are in the Bahamas, that are in North Carolina, South Carolina, and other places that have been affected by this. And so I hope that you'll consider any relief effort that you can do if need be. But as we went through this last week, I just really began thinking of the type of leadership it takes in hurricane times from leaders and how that really relates to us as leaders. And so I've titled this episode 85, Hurricanes and Hope. Hurricanes and Hope, because I think that some of the steps that leaders take when it comes to hurricanes is really applicable to us as leaders. And so my question to you first is, have you ever had a hurricane or seen a hurricane coming towards you and your team? You know that it's going to be rough, it's going to be disastrous, you're going to have to brace for impact or whatever is going to happen there, but there's nothing you can do to prevent it. And so you've got this kind of hurricane coming, and you're getting ready with the team. I watched this week as our governor of Virginia decided not to evacuate our area ahead of the hurricane. And that's so funny. In today's social media culture, no matter what, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because on one side, people were like, I can't believe you wouldn't evacuate. This is going to be another Hurricane Matthew. And on the other side, people are like, oh, I'm so glad that you're not evacuating, but blah, 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 blah. And so, man, you just, it takes a strong, steady leader when it comes to hurricane times. And I watched that this week. And so maybe the hurricane for your team has looked like layoffs. Maybe the hurricane for your team has looked like a star team player struggling. Maybe the hurricane for your team is just something that just kind of rocked the foundation of your organization. Or maybe it was a takeover bid or whatever. I don't know what it is, whether you're a nonprofit or a business. You know what I'm talking about when I say that there's been hurricanes that have come your way. And so just real quick, I wanted to give kind of 2 points and really 4 things that great leaders do throughout hurricanes. And so the first one is, before the hurricane hits, it's what we call prevention, right? They're trying to prevent as much as possible. And so the first thing you'll see that a governor of a state will do is they'll declare a state of emergency, right? So that emergency is what they're declaring. And so they do this because there's funds tied to it federally, as well as they want to make sure that people understand the severity of what's happening. And so I think for us as leaders, declaring a state of emergency is when we in our head and with the leaders that are in our inner circle begin to realize that there's a hurricane coming, that we go, okay, let's remember the lessons that we've learned from the past. Let's declare this so that we can do better here with this present circumstance, right? So that's declaring the state of emergency. And then the second thing is evacuation, right? Caring enough to help your team members get out of harm's way. Man, when hurricanes come, especially for people that haven't been through this before, it can devastate their morale. It can devastate their kind of hope in the organization or whatever. So we've got to be very aware of how to evacuate or help to kind of bolt down the peak performers that are part of our team and make sure that they're not heavily affected by some of these hurricanes. We can do our best. You can't prevent everything. You can't prevent how a person's going to feel about a situation. You can definitely listen and allow them the opportunity to ruminate and to just talk about it, right? Remember that Brene Brown quote that you want to allow people the chance to rumble with vulnerability as a leader, or else you'll just be dealing with mistakes across the organization because people haven't had the chance to process how they're feeling. But So declaring the state of emergency, this is part of the prevention, realizing what you're learning from the past, and then evacuation, doing your best to take care of the team members that you know are going to be kind of like that collateral damage from the hurricane that's coming through. And so doing your best to help them and bolt them down during those times. So that's the prevention piece. The second part is after a hurricane hits, right? Like you need to be a strong leader when the hurricane hits. And this is in contrast to what I call kind of the promise. This is where visionary leaders thrive, right? That when the house collapses, right, after the hurricane, these are the people that can show promise for the future and really help the team. And so the first thing that happens in this promise stage of after the hurricane is relief, right? I think it's really important that after a tough situation has happened as a leader that you acknowledge it. You know, obviously there's HR policies if it was something personnel related, but that you acknowledge it and that you don't kind of just brush it under the carpet with your team. But then you also take chances to kind of hit the release valve to let the pressure off for a hot minute. This could be something as much as a fun lunch. I mean, one of our teams right now, they love to do potluck lunches. And so something like this can just kind of get them going for a couple more weeks where they get to just be together, have lunch together, and just enjoy time together. And so it's really important that with the promise of the future, that you give the people that are around, that are stabilizing, the chance for relief. And then the second thing is, as a leader, it's time to rebuild. We will rebuild. And so when it's time to rebuild, if people are worried about the organization or what's going on, it's important to point out kind of the key players that are contributing towards the rebuilding, kind of going, hey, check out what this person's doing in this time. Yes, this has been a tough circumstance, but this person's doing this. Man, can I count on you to pitch in as part of the rebuilding efforts? And that's so crucial as a leader, especially with the promise of the future, is that you get people on board to rebuild. And so find who those key people are and then build on that from those key people. So real quick, hurricanes and hope. Let's review it really quickly. The first part is the prevention. And this is where you as the leader declare a state of emergency. This is where you look back to your past and learn from the things in the past that have happened before. And you and your inner circle of leaders just really deal with that together. Then second of all, you evacuate. Do your best to kind of bolt down your peak team members and others so that they realize that they can be safe here. You know, let's get you to safety because there's a hurricane coming, but I want you to know that we recognize you and we want to keep you safe. So you evacuate there. And then on the promise side, after the prevention, remember that you want to first provide relief, that after a hurricane hits, give people the chance to laugh, to take a deep breath, to realize, okay, let's take a breath for a second. Let's get ready to move forward. And then remember to point to those people that are contributing to the rebuilding, because key team members that are helping to rebuild will help other team members begin to believe in the vision again and move forward with that promise. Hey friends, I hope this was helpful to you. Hurricanes and hope. I hope that you have a great week and I look forward to talking with you soon. Bye-bye.